So, long time no speak. I started out in the beginning of the year saying that I would come up with these videos about the discussions of life and, life lessons, trials and tribulations and everything else. I had this whole idea about how I was going to document, my weight loss experience and everything else. It didn't quite pan out the way I wanted it to, which is fine. Not to mention that I'm still, trying to figure out the best way to take my weight off and keep it off and things like that. And I feel like any part of the journey is worth talking about. So we're going to end up talking about that anyway. I've done 2 videos already. The first one was about, fears are stupid and so is regret. That was a quote by Marilyn Monroe that I felt like was really powerful. And I wanted to use that to speak to my own life and, for several others that go through the same thing. The second video was about, radical women, which is really, thirst trap chicks. I got a thing against, people that, say that they're confident, but really they're not, and they do confident shit that's just like, nah, you doing a lot. I haven't said anything about the videos. I haven't shared it. I haven't told anybody I have a YouTube channel, nothing like that. But, in the first video, I talked about fear and how strong we have a relationship, and that speaks directly to it, because here we are months later, and this is video number 3. So one of the things that I do, one of the things that I've done is I would record videos of myself, like driving back and forth and what have you. If there's ever a thought that I had that I feel like it's worth sharing and telling somebody, or there's somebody that needs to hear it and I just didn't have the courage to put it out there for somebody to find it, I still have it so that it can be shared. See, the idea of me doing this wasn't just for me, and I think that when I initiated the YouTube channel, because I was still being very selfish, or I was self-motivated in it, I couldn't see myself all the way through it. Not to mention that past couple of days I've been fasting, and when you fast, it's this thing that happens like with the clearing of the head and the emotions and what have you. But either way, here we are. And because I have those 2 videos, I always made this joke that the third video would be about why, fat chicks can't take dick. Somebody shared this concept with me, and they said, fat chicks is always acting like, oh no, that's too much, this, that, and the other. So I wanted to touch on that, but for right now, I'm going to save that for later, because I feel like that's a worthwhile topic. But I wanted to give some insight on why I chose the title. MOT means movement. A couple years ago when I was in college, we were having a discussion about the term motivation and, how that word breaks down. And MOT, we understand is the Latin word, or comes from the Latin word mov, or MOV, movement. So I wanted that part to be a component that I shared. Motivation requires a constant movement, that you gotta always be on the go. You always have to be doing something. And that doesn't mean that it's at any point going to be easy. That does not indicate that it's going to be nice, it's going to be simple. It just means that you gotta keep going. So I hope that part resonates, and I hope that you guys enjoy what I'm looking to share with you. So, there's a lot of different concepts about motivation, what it means, how it applies, and, it being temporary and that sort of thing. But we also don't really talk about the ugly side of motivation. You see, in every single experience that we have, we know that there's a good and there's a bad. And then we have the balance, right? So there's this in-between that we want to exist in, but for some reason the perception is always that it's good. So we think that in the idea of motivation, that it's always going to be something pretty, it's always going to be something nice, it's always going to be something positive. And I am definitely here to tell you that that's not totally true. So I'll give you a quick run through of what happened. So in the beginning of the year, as my last video shows you, I definitely was in the midst of a weight loss process. In this weight loss process, I was doing a detox. This detox consisted of, several smoothies a day and 1 meal a day, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of different phases. I had a trainer at one point, and he was really dope. So if anybody wants to hear about something like that, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to share the details, because I feel like, knowledge is power, and I'm all for sharing power with anybody. So anyway, in this process, I'm on my full-scale detox. I've been somebody that's heavy my entire life. I've struggled with my weight my entire life. I've never at no point been a skinny girl. Like, that's never been my lifestyle, and I'm okay with that. I'm trying to get it right, tighten up a bit, but I'm comfortable where I am, and I'm very much aware of the progress that I want to make, and I will make. So, thumbnail for later. With that being said, in the beginning of the year, I had swelled up significantly. Why? Because I'm an emotional eater, as most women are. We all have our vices, we all have our coping mechanisms. Mine's is food. We'll talk about that another time too. As I came to this realization that I was in this very, very low emotional state, that I need to curb my physical. I need to get that under control. And with me getting that under control, that creates a spiritual empowerment. And I do what I do. Coming to work, got my little smoothies and whatnot, doing my thing. I'm fine. I'm eating raw almonds, eating citrus fruit, because this is a part of the detox, right? But in this process, someone else, they noticed that I was losing weight, but never made any comments around it. So a bunch of other people was talking about it, and they was impressed and said that you're doing a good job, keep it up, this, that, and the other. And I head nods and appreciations, thank you very much. And this specific person wouldn't outright give me that compliment, but suddenly started to juice. And they would come in and they would do their thing and everything else, but I noticed that they would more or less eat however they feel like it. Now, because I'm the person that's doing this detox, I know specifically that juicing is effective, but it has to be managed properly. Let her do a thing, I ain't knocking shorty, you do what you do. So at some point or another, she goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, you gained 2 pounds or something like that, like, or she had no weight loss or something crazy like that. So it was her own thing, right? She came back and she was like, oh, that juice and stuff is trash, this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, I got literally a big-ass cup, big-ass smoothies, like, sitting there, sipping it back. And I'm like, a word? It didn't work for you, And I ain't, acknowledge it. I ain't giving no life or nothing like that. And she continued, and it was this recurring statement that it's so garbage and it's such a waste and that shit don't do nothing for nobody, this, that, and the other. It was real nasty. But we at work. And you're entitled to your feelings, right? But I know for me, I'm having a good time. At that point, I think I was about 13 pounds down. So I'm going to leave that there. Anyway, following day, she comes in. She was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get started with this keto. Because keto is where it's at. Because keto is this. And keto is that. And this, that, and the other. And it's so dope. And it's so this. And it's so that. Some time goes by. Again, giving no life, no energy. Because I had curbed my emotions. And I stopped succumbing to that physical coping mechanism that I'm so comfortable with, i.e. food. I was able to recognize that, she going through her own thing. And that ain't got nothing to do with you. And I was okay with that. Alright. So she say her piece. She doing her little keto. And she'll come in faithfully. So, at this point, because I'm eating one meal a day, I have to prepare my meals because there's a certain way that you got to prepare them. It's low salt, no sugar, no carbs, different things like that. So, go ahead home, you stuff it up, you do your thing, and you bring in your food. So now when she bringing her stuff, it got to be an announcement. Yeah, I made such and such and blah, 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 and it's living like this and it's living like that. Let her be. Because while she living her best life, I'm living mine. She went to the doctor, I want to say, in another 2 weeks. And the doctor was like, oh, good job. You lost 4 pounds. So she made sure that she came back to say, I told you that this keto life is where it's at, blah, blah, blah. It's so this, it's so that, this, that, and the other. That's where you're supposed to be. I let her be. So, how does that correlate to my statement about motivation? You see, when people talk about certain things, like instantaneously, it would be associated with her just being a hater. We just going to write her off as being a hater. But I like to get a little deeper. Because when you get a little deeper, there's a little bit more value. And there's a little bit more stuff in it than just scraping the surface of, she's just a hater. The poor girl, she's not a hater. She's insecure. And it perpetuates with her being a hater. She insecure. It was the kind of thing I could speak from true and honest experience. I am a young woman that has, like I told you, been heavy my entire life. And I've genuinely lost friends when I started to lose weight because I was the friend that would walk around with people and make them feel comfortable about themselves because they had to have that person that they was better than that was standing next to them so that they can feel empowered. And that's okay. I'm not knocking you. You just never built what we call self-confidence. In me going through what I went through, I had no choice but to find out. How this correlates to motivation ain't always pretty. You see, certain people are built for certain things. How I handled that situation was my choice. I had the right to be upset or be in control. And two things can be true. I was annoyed as shit, but I controlled myself in that situation. Just like I was controlling myself in how I was eating, right? She was inspired by my success. Her mouth and her lack of confidence couldn't allow her to say that out loud. So while the juicing didn't work for her and she didn't stick to it, she went and she found keto. And it empowered her to do something better. It's so important for you to stay focused and to constantly move forward because you never know who's watching. And just because somebody might say something that's damning, belittling, distracting, it don't mean that it got anything to do with you. That's something that was completely within her gut. And the best way that she knew how to deal with her insecurity was to deflect it. The best way she knew how to deal with her insecurity was to find a way to be better than somebody else. And sometimes the best of us understand that and we withdraw from it. But even better, we're not exempt from being that person. Because again, when you look at it wholeheartedly in its totality, she's just an insecure female. Insecurity is something that don't discriminate against anybody. Anybody can feel like they're not good enough. Anybody can feel like, damn, I wish I could. And most of us don't have it in us to say, you know what? I wish that I can do something like this for myself. More often than not, we are trying to copy and imitate somebody else and not finding out what it is exactly that we can do internally. You see, when people discuss their journeys and put certain things forward and discuss lifestyles and what have you, you don't necessarily have to imitate it to the T. It's that you need to find a way to be the best version of yourself. And I want people that set the tone. I want people that are truly, truly like, I do shit because I want to do shit. I want you to be okay to be that person. I want you to be okay with being that person and understanding that people going to jump up and they going to say shit like, oh, that's corny. But that don't mean they're not going to try and do something that's like it or do something that's similar to get the same result in a different avenue. It don't change nothing. But understand that you was the catalyst for that change nonetheless. So, back to the original point. I couldn't talk about something as goofy as fat chicks can't take dick. And that was something that was on my heart and on my mind. And I feel like it's something that people should know, people should hear, people should see, because there's a lot of different versions or vantage points of experience that people should just really understand and be familiar with. So I feel like it's a worthwhile conversation. With that being said, maybe the next video I'll talk about, taking pipe. Maybe that could be another discussion. But for right now, this is what it's at. So if you got any comments, questions, concerns, anything that you feel like is worth talking about, a rebuttal, because I'm down for it too. I like debates. I hope you hit me up because I'm willing to hear it. And maybe next video, I won't be so busted.